Greetings, Mace here. On a previous episode we made honey beer bread, and it was quite delicious. On today's episode we're going to enhance that old recipe and bring it into the new age. And to do that we're going to add oats as well as change some of the ratios to create a newfangled bread that will use a full tall boy, ending the tall boy little boy scenario. The ingredients for such a wonderful recipe consist of 1 tablespoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of oats, 1/3 cup of honey, 3/4 cups of melted butter, 3 cups of flour, and 1 tall boy. I decided to go with a Lowenbräu. We're going to start out with our dry ingredients first, so we'll get ourselves a nice mixing bowl and a sifter. And then we'll proceed to sift our flour. We're just going to toss it in the top there, give it a little bit of a shake, and get it all inside the sifter. And now that we have a little bit more room on the top, we can throw in our baking powder and our salt. No reason to sift salt, but might as well do it. It's already there, it's all ready to go, so why not throw it all in? And then we're good to go. Now we'll just kind of pick it up, give it a couple quick swift shakes, and everything flies through it. And all we're left with is junk and perfection. Of course, when it comes to stirring perfection, a wooden spoon works best. And it is for that reason that I decided to use a wooden spoon for stirring. It also works really good for extracting the honey from a bowl. Of course, once our honey's all extracted into the bowl, we can move on to adding the rest of our ingredients. To begin with, we'll add in our butter. Gotta have the butter. Makes all the difference. Of course, we'll toss in our oats because that's what we came here for. And time to start pouring in some beer. Now I was thinking about doing another video on different types of beer in beer bread. Maybe try like an IPA or different types of lagers, a dark beer. Just see what it does to the flavor of the bread, because I don't know. I've made this recipe with a few different beers and it's interesting how different they taste at the end of the day after they're baked. But I haven't made them all at like the same time, so I never had like a direct comparison. So let me know in the comments below if you think that'd be interesting to test out. In this section we're just mixing it all up. You don't have to mix it like crazy, you just need to make sure it's all good and combined. And make sure you take a whiff of it because it smells amazing. And once you're done mixing, then we can move on to getting our bread pan out. Of course you want to butter up your bread pan like I've done here. This is a stone one, works just the same in a steel. And then we're just going to dump it all in. And this is a standard size pan. If you have one that's a little bit smaller, you'll probably want to put it in 2 different loaf pans, because this is like the perfect amount for a single. It really poofed up at the end. And now that we have it all in the pan, it's time to move on to our final step before throwing it in the oven. And that's going to be to pour a little bit of melted butter on the top of the bread itself. And this will help give us a little bit more of a golden brown color when we bake it. Otherwise, 375 degrees, and we'll cook it for an hour. It's probably going to take longer than an hour because this is a very dense bread, and it might be best to make it in 2 pans instead of 1, because it passed the toothpick test for me, but some of the pieces were a little moist on the inside. So what I ended up doing was putting it back in the oven and cooking it another 20 minutes. And this kind of, I think, overdid the outside crust, but it did get rid of the excessive moisture in the inside of the bread, so maybe a lower temperature is best. Hard to say, I have to make this a few more times to find out. I was very impressed with the results of this bread. It definitely tastes quite a bit different than the last bread, the normal beer bread. And adding the oats, I think, really made it much more savory and less of like a desserty type of bread. And I kind of liked it. It's just hard to wait for it to cool off enough to be able to eat it, because I just kept eating pieces of it, and before you know it, half the loaf is gone. So let me know in the comments below your thoughts on this beer bread, and if you'd like to see a video of different beers used in beer bread and the results. And if you like my content and would like to see more of it, please like and subscribe to my channel. And until next time, stay awesome.